Hey guys, Huzzy here bringing you another video. So welcome back to the Diamond Replay Analysis series. That's a mouthful. But yeah, today I'm bringing you a replay analysis of Ahri, a very popular mid laner right now. Probably in the top, I'd say, 3 mid laners. And usually I don't like kind of list champions like that, but you know, you've got Zed, Ahri, and arguably LeBlanc. So I am against LeBlanc in this game. She is known to be a very big counter to Ahri for multiple reasons. First one is her damage is just insane and the enemy is going for an invade right now. But yeah, her damage is simply insane and she has good counterplay to Ahri because she can dodge her abilities. A good Ahri player as well can kind of do okay versus LeBlanc. But I believe this is against, you know, a person that's played quite a bit of LeBlanc and me as an Ahri player that is only just now starting to play Ahri. I think I've only played like 8 games of Ahri this season. But yeah, just like a couple things of spring cleaning before we begin the actual commentary. The first thing to say is a lot of people asked in the last episode, how do I get all chat? Pretty simple. You click, I think it's here, all, no, where is it? It's the, nope. It's somewhere around here. Oh yeah, here, interface visibility and click chat on. And then in the options, it's have toggle all chat on as well. And then, hey presto, you get all chat in replays. Anyway, my top lane. We're looking for an invade on the Amumu and the Nasus just to kind of steal it away. You'll notice that these two are pre-made. They've got very similar names as well as the clan tag. I have a funny feeling as well these two on my team were pre-made. Maybe. They did play quite well together. Anyway, but the reason I picked this replay specifically, you know, one, I'm not really playing a lot on my main account at the moment with being so busy with Unranked to Diamond. But the second point is it was an interesting game. It was not a stomp. You know, I don't like doing replay analysis on stomps because you don't learn a lot from them. I like doing replay analysis on the actual close games. Anyway, just quick thing to note is that this LeBlanc mispositioned quite badly. Now, a lot of people will be like, why didn't she just run back to the tower, then start the last hit? Not really sure, so she ran off to the side and now taking a considerable amount of damage for free for no apparent reason. So yeah, auto attack, and now she's forced to kind of have this awkward little trade with me where she's just kind of completely lost it. She's now on a 3rd health, I'm still above 2/3, and now she's had to burn her first health potion. So I don't know why she went that way. She is now level 2, probably looking for a bit of damage on me. She does. Unfortunately, the camera didn't move straight away. Bot lane, there's a bit of a trade going on, all in with the Brom level 2. Heals are going off, and it does not look good with my team, and they actually die. The Brom goes down. Questionable play going in on that low health, to be honest. Everybody, by the way, is lined up in the last hitting areas, so you can, you know, you can know where to look. Also, Flash comes out of Corki and Lucian, so no summoners Lucian and no summoners Bard, so that's all summoners now gone in bot lane apart from Bard's Flash, which means that the Kindred, if she wanted to, could potentially put some pressure down there. One thing also to say is Amumu. Amumu is a very popular champion. The problem with Amumu, which you probably will see throughout this game, is he's not the best high rating pick. Anyway, there's a gang going off. Unfortunately, in all that madness, LeBlanc landed the chain, and because she landed the chain, it stunned me in place to allow a Amumu flash and just simply Q me, and I died. Not a lot I could have done about that, you know, I didn't have vision, maybe I should have. You don't really expect an Amumu to gank mid at level 3. It was more the chain landing than anything, so definitely I'm going to have to look just to dodge the chain. The matchup Maokai versus Nasus, by the way, basically what this matchup does, it's the whole idea of Maokai like holds the champion and somebody else hits the champion. You know the phrase, I'll hold him, you hit him. That's what Maokai is in top lane, pretty much against everything. So it's probably this Maokai is relying quite heavily on the Kindred to do quite well in this matchup, because the Maokai will root the Nasus and the Kindred probably will do all the damage, which again you'll probably see throughout this game. But as for team comps, I'm very tempted to do a specific video on team comps very soon, because a lot of people in the Unranked to Diamond series have always gone, you know, I'm new to the game, what is a team comp, what's it on about? A team comp, or a team composition as the full name, is breaking down what your individual champions do together. What do they achieve as a group? Anyway, Kindred is now killing the Scuttle Crab, being contested by the Amumu. Nasus also rotates down. Maokai W's onto him, and there is a dead Nasus. As again, the whole concept of I'll hold him, you hit him. I did ping quite a bit saying LeBlanc is missing. Hopefully my team do make it out at this stage of the game, because I've already died once. I'm kind of thinking to myself, I want to get a little bit of gold ahead in farm, maybe with some pressure on the mid lane turret. So I stayed in mid lane. There's another reason I also stayed in mid lane, is I cannot follow a LeBlanc as an Ahri at level 4. She has way more power than me. You know, Ahri's mobility, her counterplay comes at level 6 when she can use her ultimates to dodge spells and all that stuff. LeBlanc's comes at level 1. You know, she takes W at level 1. She already has that counterplay. She already has that mobility. With the chains, I just can't chase that. So just stay in mid lane and just kind of trying to get XP, try to get a bit more farm. Bot lane, they are a little bit behind, obviously. With the Braum already going down and having no summoners, really. But, you know, the enemy team don't either. But again, Kindred, I love Kindred. I have kind of like a love-hate relationship with Kindred. She's really fun to play. Her voice acting is amazing. But it's very hit or miss. The thing with Kindred, you're very reliant on your team doing well. Because, hell, you're an AD carry in the jungle, pretty much. You know, if your team do badly, you can't just suddenly kill everybody in the front line because you're an AD carry. Mid lane returning just to be kind of a farm matchup. Both of us relatively even CS. Kindred going for a gank in the bot lane. Let's see how this goes. So Braum is looking for the Q potentially, going for the Bard kill. Nice damage, and Kindred picks up a kill. Nice actually hit by the Braum Q there. Mumu's looking just to put some pressure, but he's a bit too late. Kindred takes a turret hit, but they should be completely fine. But yeah, returning to the point of team compositions. So as I mentioned, it's taking the individual champions in each comp. So the LeBlanc, the Lucian, the Bard, the Nasus, the Mumu, what do they do together? That is a key team composition. Now, a good team composition will have 5 champions that all go towards the same goal, that all do relatively the same thing, just very well. And the more that you have of them, the stronger that feature becomes. So if you have 5 team fighting champions, you are now a team fighting comp. If you have 5, like, assassin snowballers, you now have a snowballing comp. That type of thing is what makes a team composition. Anyway, there's a lot of trading going on in the mid lane. Again, I'm at a disadvantage in the early game. I am deciding, build-wise, I'm going to rush the Abyssal. Pretty basic, you know. I don't really love Athenes on the Ahri. I think there's other things you can do. You know, I do like Morellonomicon, especially versus the enemy team comp, with the Nasus healing, etc., with the Bard healing. So I'm wanting to get Morellonomicon, I think, in my head. But I need to survive the lane. I need to get to mid-game. So I'm going to go Abyssal. It's pretty much that simple. You can change up your build. You don't need to always go the same build path. Yes, usually you want to go the mana regen item first because you'll run out of mana otherwise. But sometimes you do need to vary it to try and, you know, have the best situation possible at that current time. Anyway, the game right now is 7.5 minutes. CS-wise, the enemy team, it's relatively even. The only big difference I'd probably say is in the bot lane. Again, you can see the LeBlanc pressure there. Just not a lot you can do, especially when you don't have a lot of mana as Ahri. As mentioned at the beginning of this game, this matchup is known to be a matchup that favours LeBlanc, although an Ahri occasionally does have some counterplay to the LeBlanc. Again, bot lane just continue to farm. I will say I'm a very big fan of both of these support champions. I love Bard and I love Braum. Braum is... there's a trade going off. Ignite comes in. Flash Ignite from Bard probably would be okay. And unfortunately, what happened there... Corki, I don't know what he was trying to do. Corki just stood here, basically AFK, thinking that he was completely fine. Maybe survived the last tick of Ignite. Being AFK like that, especially the higher rating you go... Now, just to mention, this game is a Diamond 2/Diamond 3 rating game. You're going to die if you stand still. You know, a lot of people always ask the questions, why do junglers constantly move around or doing a jungle camp? Don't stand still. It makes you so predictable and easy to kill. And that's what just killed Corki, standing still. Returning to mid lane, I now got my Negatron Cloak, which gives me a lot more trading potential. You know, and yes, it doesn't give me a lot of damage, but it gives me trading potential because I do a lot of damage as Ahri anyway. You know, her base damage is actually not that bad. LeBlanc's damage, other than that, LeBlanc has a lot of base damage, and she has spells early, but I just need to survive that. Now, build-wise, she is ahead of me by quite a bit. Now, I'm looking for a roam down into the bot lane. Unfortunately, you know, Bard's Bard, you can get away pretty easily. But I also noticed there's a pink ward in there, so hey presto, my team now know that too. So it's a good information roam. I didn't really get anything from it other than that. Kindred also takes out the Scuttle Crab, which I believe was her mark. One thing to mention as well, in the Kindred Unranked to Diamond episode, I did a very poor job in collecting marks. You know, recently I was quite distracted in recording those episodes for various reasons. But yeah, unfortunately, again, there's a little fight going on in the bot lane. I'll actually rewind it just to kind of show you. It was 9:06, so we'll go to 8:48. So hopefully this works perfectly. Right, so to resume, we'd just done the Scuttle Crab. These guys have not based yet. So let's see what happens. Corki has his package. Right. What is he going to do with it? He sees Lucian clearing that pink ward. Now, you'd think that this ultimate is an okay ultimate. He splits the AD carry and the support. The problem is it's not actually hitting them that hard. It'll put one tick on them and not do any more. So continuing for the damage, Bardelt comes down. That gives a Mumu time to rotate down, hits the Q, and now that is a dead Corki, simply due to overextending. Kindred now rotates to try and get the Lucian. She does take him down, but because of the overextend, she also manages to die. Not worth it. You know, Kindred, sure, she's getting a couple kills, but a Mumu right now is 3-0. Now, one thing to mention as well, I think I didn't finish the point earlier, a Mumu isn't the best champion at high rating. You know, I don't want to offend people. I never like doing that. But there are certain champions in League of Legends that are good high rating picks and good low rating picks. Now, you'll see this Amumu, bit of a spoiler, get quite fed. You know, do very well in this game, in, you know, the mid-early game. Watch what happens into the late game. Watch what happens, what an Amumu can do when it's against Diamond 2, Diamond 3 players that just kind of know how to beat an Amumu. You know, it's not that difficult. Now, I have no idea what this little line is here. That's quite bizarre, but that looked like 5 little auto attacks going across the screen. But the enemy blue probably is coming up relatively soon. Kindred is looking for a gank in the top tower, or top lane, sorry. And again, here we go. So I'm going to call the premise, and there's also a road coming from bot lane. You hold him, I hit him. They're going onto the Nasus. They take him down before either of them die. Kindred's going to continue doing damage as much as possible. She flashes on top of the LeBlanc, continue to do damage. LeBlanc flashes away. There is red buff on her, and Amumu is continuing just to headbutt people, because that's what Amumu does. LeBlanc also comes back and gets the kill. So unfortunately, this Amumu, again, is now 4-0-1. And people may say, what about, you know, mid lane? You know, how am I going to deal with it? You know, she's roaming so much as LeBlanc. She has so much pressure. That's simply the matchup. Now, the way that you sometimes have to deal with a difficult matchup as a whole team is, okay, we won't take as risky plays as possible. Can an Ahri have that much pressure on LeBlanc in the early stages to keep her there? Not really. Can an Ahri follow a LeBlanc in the risk of getting engaged on? Not really. So when both of them questions are not really, your mentality should be, okay, we'll only go for a gank, we'll only go for a play in top lane and bot lane when we know where LeBlanc is. If we don't see LeBlanc, don't go for a play, because there's always a risk she could be there, because our mid laner currently, the Ahri, can't do anything about it. Later in the game, sure, Ahri will be fine. Now, LeBlanc is going for an engage on me. I managed to get a charm off, go straight for the ignite. And this is me going, okay, I'm just going to kill you, you know. Also, she survives with a little bit of health. I'm not going to let her survive, so I flashed the auto attack. So, hey, she's been roaming a lot. She's been getting kills and assists. But now she's weak in the 1v1. Now I've managed to scale up as an Ahri, and this is one thing to note. She has an item on me. You know, we both have the Blasting Wand and the Energatron Cloak. She even has a Fiendish Codex on me. She has 25 more AP just from items and 10% cooldown reduction, and she still went down. That's what I was looking for this entire lane phase, was the opportunity to kill her 1v1. But with her roaming, etc., I haven't had it, but the roaming has allowed me to get through this lane phase as easy as possible. You know, usually as an Ahri, you don't expect to get through a lane phase very easily. Anyway, Maokai actually does a nice flash onto the Amumu Q. Amumu ults for the Maokai kill, flashes away. Nasa's now looking for the kill himself, withers the Maokai, but Maokai survives. Well played to him for now. Bot lane again looking for a trade. Kindred has roamed down to the bot lane. Don't think she's going to get anything for it. We know Amumu is top lane, so now is probably a good time to do Dragon. That's kind of how dragons are usually started, is, oh, they're top lane, let's go there. Anyway, Kindred is looking for a rotation gank, you know, thinking the enemy team are like, hey, they're not going to come back, and they get sloppy and die for it. Kindred, okay, I remember this point. Why doesn't she run out right now? She had an opportunity to live there. It was very slim. It was literally a millisecond between the tower hits to get out, but she didn't. So, a bit of a mistake by her part. It happens, I guess, but a little bit of a misplay. Returning to the mid lane, I've now finished my Abyssal. I'm already 10 CS up now in this lane. That is otherwise a bad lane for Ahri, but doing okay, I guess. Maokai himself is also 15-ish CS up, which is very good for him. It looks like he's actually rushing the Iceborne Gauntlet, which is an interesting build. You know, sure, Roa is a good item on Maokai top. I'd actually probably build that myself, because it gives you scaling, a little bit of health, a little bit of mana, and also a bit of damage, which in top lane is fine. You know, I'd never build, if you play Maokai jungle, I'd never build Roa in the jungle. But in top lane, where it's a scaling matchup, especially against a Nasus, you want to kind of scale with him, Roll would probably be a good option here. But he is going for the Iceborne Gauntlet. Most likely, again, to kind of facilitate the idea of I'll hold him, you hit him. I'll W him, I'll slow him with the Iceborne. And then Kindred, you do the damage to kill him. So he's under his tower, roughly at half health. Is healing a little bit, but good poke from the Maokai there. Kindred, once again, is looking for the top tower. So, will this top tower pay off? Will the amount of ganks coming out of the top lane be fine? Now, the kill comes up. Really easy kill. You know, honestly, really easy kill. Now, the point you need to make as a jungler is, where is your time best spent? So they're shutting down an Nasus. Okay, that's a good point. He's a scaling champion. He's now 0-3. He's down 25 CS. So that is a good point. The bad point is our bot lane. Our bot lane is struggling in this matchup. The Corki is 0-2. The Lucian's 1-1. The CS difference is, you know, it's there. Will the amount of pressure put in top lane be worth, you know, the bot lane losing this matchup? If Kindred maybe had 1 or 2 more ganks in bot lane, would have this changed the lane? It's very hard to tell, you know, we say hindsight is a wonderful thing. You can't really predict the future, etc. You can't change the past. But what is Kindred doing here is also very, very greedy. No vision on LeBlanc anymore. A ping missing. No vision on where the Amumu is. And she just gets completely caught out. You know, there's nothing more to say about it. She gets caught out, even dies pretty much to the tower. And unfortunately, LeBlanc gets the kill for that. Also, again, Maokai, I believe, overstays a little bit. And he's probably going to go down to LeBlanc and Amumu as well. All the while, I'm staying in mid lane. You know, there are certain matchups, certain parts in the game that, sure, you're going to roam a lot like this LeBlanc, or you stay mid lane. You know, an example, when I play Ziggs, I stay mid lane all the time. Usually, Ahri is a roaming champion. Usually, I roam all the time on Ahri, but not against a LeBlanc. She can kill me too easily. Yes, there is a very precise moment that I can kill her. I just killed a 1v1 a few minutes ago. That's a very particular time. I land the charm. I have the ignite up. If them little things are all check boxes, yes, I can kill her. Other than that, she can do whatever she wants. I can't do anything about it. Pressure seems to be kind of turning a little bit in bot lane. You know, the enemy team, if they were that confident, they'd be pressuring up on our lane, but they're not. Again, farming going on in the top lane. Nasus's build is fairly interesting. So one thing to say, Maokai is 0-2 right now. You know, all the pressure that we've had in top lane, he's actually negative in score. Kindred is already waiting in the top lane bush to try and get the kill. Amumu comes down as well as the Kindred ult on top of each other. Who's going to come out in top? So the Nasus isn't dead yet. Good flash by Kindred. Manages to get her mark. And now they're going to turn over for the Amumu. The Amumu himself does not have flash up. Kindred does not know this at this point. I don't think any of us does, and you can see I'm finally roaming. Hey, that's a good point, right? There is a pink wood in the bush. Amumu knows I'm here, but I'm going to look for the kill anyway. He manages to hit the kill, and I managed to get the kill myself. Now, that is good roam, but the problem is I know LeBlanc is coming to kill me. I 100% know this point. I've nearly accepted my fate. Maokai should have run to the heavens right now. He should not have tried to save me. I knew I was dead for going for that kill, and she manages to get a double kill. Not a great situation. I prefer if she didn't get a double kill, but I wanted to get my name on the board a little bit more. And here's where bot lane starts to turn. Lucian gets over cocky. He forgets the pure burst of a Corki, and they also kill the Bard, by the way. They killed the Bard not too long ago. So my bot lane, who has been behind pretty much all the game, who hasn't had a lot of jungle pressure, to say the point as well, neither has their bot lane. Amumu hasn't been bot a lot either. But anyway, little trade going on here. Much of a muchness. I think LeBlanc burnt flash. There you go. That's pretty much all that. But yeah, my bot lane being behind the whole time. The whole lane phase. And now they're starting to turn it. Why are they starting to turn it? Most likely the matchup and maybe a little bit of cockiness. Lucian literally just face-checked the Corki burst. That's basically just asking to die. But yeah, the game at the moment, 17 minutes, relatively even game. And this is why, again, I wanted to do this. Now, Poils, right. This annoyed me. So as you guys know, I get annoyed sometimes in game. And one thing that annoys me, especially in Diamond 2, is bad play. Now, I'm fine with people making mistakes. Mistakes are natural. We're humans. You're going to make mistakes. I don't like bad play. Oh, right. Corki has package. He walks past the Bard, right? And to this point, still has not noticed him. I don't know how this is possible, right? So I'm now, you can see on the minimap down here, look how much red pinging is going on by my team. I'm rotating down for the Bard to try and get him. Continue. Oh, there you are. I've just noticed. And Bard gets away. Oh, that was, yep. That was an interesting play by Corky. That was a lot of question marks in chat by the Kindred, if memory serves correct. So yeah, that was fun. Top lane, resuming the game after that. Maokai is 20 CS up. Now, both top laners are actually not doing great in terms of KDA. 0-4 Nasus. The trade is going in Maokai's favour, obviously, but 0-4 Nasus and 0-3 Maokai. Both of these champions are basically just giving the kills to whoever their carry is. There's a trade going in bot lane. Also, a Mumu comes down. Probably a dead Corki. There is a dead Corki. Maokai's continuing to go for the Nasus. Kindred comes to the top lane. Free kill for her. Bard's probably going to also go down to the Mumu. Mumu hits his kill. Double kill Lucian. So, crazy stuff going around the map right now. And here's the thing, another point to make. Who's going to be more useful? A 5-1-6 Amumu, pretty fed. Or a 7-4-1 Kindred. Now, if this... Now, there's some people say, oh, Huzz, you're being a bit elitist. If this game, with the exact champions, with the exact scores, if this game was gold, if this game was silver, I'd say Amumu has advantage. Because this is a diamond game, Kindred has advantage. The reason for it is, 1, positioning. 2, Amumu falls off quite hard if he doesn't hit his ultimate. He's kind of got the Malphite effect going for him. Now, one thing to point, they're doing blue buff. My 2 top laney people just ended up doing Rift Herald. They do take the blue buff, unfortunately. Give it to Lucian, which is not a great point for me. I'm only now starting to build my Morella Nomicon. So LeBlanc is still ahead. Now, one thing, let's actually check out the goal. Let's just quickly pause the game to do this. So, who's got the most gold in the game right now? So, you've got a 7,500 Kindred, which I believe is the most. Yeah, 7,500 Kindred, nearly 7,600. Second is a Mumu with 7,200, and then it's Lucian with 7,000. Then coming up the rear is, I think, LeBlanc with 6,900. Then the Maokai with 6,600. Then Corki with 6,400. And then me with 6,300. And then Nasus. And then the supports. So yeah, I'm actually really behind in terms of gold, in terms of all the carries in the game. That's a problem. It is partial the matchup that there's not a lot I could do in the lane. You know, maybe I could have roamed a bit more, but then it's risking dying, even increasing her gold even more. Now there's a gank potentially coming in the bot lane, being very, very sneaky. And there's a Bard coming down, hits both of them. Well played, Bard. And Mumu's trying to position to get a double ultimate, bit greedy just to walk his way in there. Bard ultimate comes down. Mumu hits his Q once again, and another kill for Lucian. Me and Kindred are rotating over, and at this point, I'm looking for a kill in my IW, going for the ultimate, get the charm, and there's a kill for me. Moving forward to try to get some more kills. Bard's just gonna, use his thingy. I flash over the Q so I don't get stunned and manage to get the kill. He probably was dead anyway, but I was looking for the kill myself. Maokai's looking for the kill on Amumu. He does flash and W's, looks at the Q, a little bit of a slow, and hey, presto. We just killed all 3 of those, and they managed to kill one of us. That is what you call an overextension gank. Now, okay, so the matchup right now in Amumu in mid lane is still not really even. Now, one point I want to make is I don't play this matchup very often. Yes, this is an excuse, but it's a valid one. I don't play this matchup very often, so I was like, I'm going to engage on the LeBlanc. Maybe she'll nearly kill me, but by the time she nearly kills me, my Kindred probably will be mid lane soon. Let's resume. So damage, I'm like, I am okay. Yep, let's keep her here. Boom. Okay, then. Yep. Morning. We know it's that one over there, though, because the mark just went on her. But unfortunately, I don't think a kill's going to come down. So I'm just in my head thinking, okay, still can't kill her. She does go over to the Baron Pit. Then she goes back over the wall. Well played to her. And I think at this point, Kindred has kind of given up on the kill, unfortunately, because she's only there. We know she's kind of in this area, but Kindred has just decided to do a bit of farming. So that's unfortunate. Well played to LeBlanc. I did not expect that amount of damage. She's actually staying right now while Kindred moves over to try and kill the Nasus. There is a kill coming down. LeBlanc returns, and very greedy play by LeBlanc. Now, what Kindred just did was a very good play. I just want to kind of point that out. LeBlanc W'd onto the Kindred, and Kindred knew she was going to return to the W. Where else is she going to go? So Kindred just flashes where the W is, where the return point is, to get instant damage when she returns. Easy kill. And then the return for the Nasus kill as well. So the synergy between the top laner and jungler this game on my team were very good. they were managing quite well. I still think that the Kindred maybe could have put a little bit more pressure into the mid, maybe even bot lane. You know, as an Ahri, again, there's not much you can do versus LeBlanc in the early stages. I'm actually quite impressed that I've actually managed to stay relatively even in CS in this matchup, because I thought I'd get denied a lot more. Bard looking for a kill on the Corki, doesn't manage to get it, does blow his support item. Corki does a nice dodge on the Bard out. He probably would have died if that hit. And now the Bard is overextended. Lucian gets completely chunked by the Corki. And yeah, that's the matchup. That's what happens. Bard, I think, is going to get away. Not if I can help it. Unfortunately, Bard takes the kill, whatever. I managed to get a nice charm onto the Amumu, but he does flash away. I'm looking if I can potentially get the last 2 auto attacks to get the stun, but no. So again, I'm starting to roam. You know, yeah, I got that 1 kill in top lane. Oh, one thing to mention. Hey, Baron, how are you doing? So I'm starting to roam. Now, let's talk about the point of this. Maokai is a very tanky champion with sustain from his passive, with ultimate decaying damage, 20% damage reduction, etc. Kindred, 8-4-4, very fed. They do a 2-man Baron at 22 minutes. I did not even expect this. I was walking back to mid lane and I was like, they're doing Baron, you know, what? And I can definitely say the enemy team were caught off guard by that. I don't think anything was said in all chat, otherwise we would have seen it. But that was a very surprising Baron. I wouldn't have even thought that they would have the power to do that. Anyway, there is a rotation. Coming over from the Kindred onto the Nasus. Again, this Nasus, I'm not going to say it's entirely his fault. I just think it's the champion. The higher rating you go, he tends not to do great. Anyway, the enemy team are roaming. Unfortunately for me, I got completely caught out. Amumu even ults just me, one person. And now there's 4 people top lane. Maokai commits to try and basically save the Kindred at this point. He's basically like, Kindred, I'll stay, you run, live on, tell the tale. So the 2 of us do go down for that Nasus kill. Not worth it, but yeah. The point I want to make is team compositions. That's what the original point of this video was. They're very important, depending what rating you are. Basically, Amumu is not known to be a high rating champion, nor is Nasus. Now, the funny point is, both of these champions, while a dive is going on, both of these champions, the Amumu and the Nasus, they're duo queue. Both of them have picked champions that are not known to be great high rating in high rating. Maybe one of them would have been okay, but both of them, it's very easy to abuse. Now, at this point, people are going, Huz, what are you talking about? Amumu is still 5-3-11, still got a lot of pressure on the map. He does. But Nasus is 0-7. So there's one of them that right now is not doing so hot. Amumu is 8-2-3. Amumu is 5-3-11. But again, let's just see how this game goes. Kindred is looking for a potential kill on the Nasus. It was warded, so she has to be careful. They know that she's there. But shutting down a Nasus is obviously a very good technique. He's got 140 CS while I take the blue buff. He's got 140 CS. No, he's keeping up with the CS relatively well. You know, he's died 3 more times than Maokai and only is 2 minion waves behind. So he's actually done okay at that point. Anyway, Kindred is looking for the kill on Nasus once again. No vision, though. 0 vision, doesn't know where anybody is. Kindred ult comes down. Maokai also teleports into the fight, which is going to probably end up with probably nothing. So 4v2 situation. And again, this is where I think my top laner and jungler, I think they were pre-made also, because they kept trying to do these plays just together. Baron together, camping the Nasus 24/7. It's very much like we're doing this together. Mumu comes down, does manage to get the kill. And at this point, me and Corki are mid lane. And we're like, okay, let's just try and maybe kill LeBlanc or go for the mid lane tower. Ignite comes down, I believe, from me. I try to go for a kill. Unfortunately, don't end up getting it. And we just get a tier 2 mid tower. Not worth it. They got way more gold. You know, I wish I could bring up the gold swing that they do in the LCS. But yeah, not worth it. But that whole play started just from a little bit of over-greediness from my, again, top and jungler. They no vision, engage, get, you know, completely outgunned and manned. And you could say, why are you mid lane with Corki? By the time we could have rotated, you know, my team exactly knew where we were when they started making the play. By the time we rotated over, the play was already over. So there was not much we could do. We took the tier 2 tower to try and get something for it. But the reason, again, I uploaded this video, it's not a perfect gameplay. The game right now is 25 minutes. The gold is only 300 difference between both teams, and the enemy has both dragons currently taken. Because this game isn't looking amazing. So we'll continue the game anyway. CS-wise, again, really even. Across the board, really. You know, there's not much of a discrepancy in terms of who's ahead, who's behind. Anyway, looking for the kill on Lucian. I didn't really want him to die, so I do go all the way through the fight. And right now, I'm thinking I'm a sacrificial pig. You know, I'm here. I'm here at this point. I know I'm going to die, but I am at the moment in my thought process. I ulted ahead of them to cut off a way of escape. Again, I'm somebody, if you've watched my content for a while, I am not a KDA warrior. At the end of the day, sure, I love being fed. I love getting kills. I love being, you know, the guy that has 10 plus kills. I don't care about it if it's going to cost me the game. I only care about winning. That is it. I don't care about how I look in game. I could feed, but if I'm going to win, that's what I'll do. So anyway, I go down to LeBlanc. I knew I was going to probably go down. LeBlanc does overcommit for the kill, but she does manage to get away. Obviously, her clone was the one that I think Maokai W'd, unfortunately. Maokai is looking to rotate even more for the LeBlanc, but I don't think they'll get anything from it. But NASA's thought process. He knows my team are all over this area of the map, but he still goes for farm. He still tries to get CS. I don't know why. You know, Amumu also is looking in. Now, this is where the point is. We can ignore this Amumu all we want. A Kindred is looking to kill the tower. This Amumu doesn't do anything anymore. You can see, he doesn't do anything. LeBlanc is now turned up to the fight. Unfortunately, that the enemy team didn't go down really quick. LeBlanc returns to the fight over there. But yeah, we just now, I think, pretty much killed most of them in an uneven, or relatively uneven fight. Kindred looking to return damage onto Lucian. They have to be really careful. Lucian flashes on top of people to try and return the damage. And this is where the fight goes sour, because Bard just showed up, stunned 2 people, and hey presto, they all die. But my point being, that Amumu, for having so much kills, having so much pressure, if that was any other jungler with that score, this game would be over. If that was a Lee Sin, that was a Jarvan, if that was an Elise with a 6-3, 18 KDA, this game would most likely be over right now. That's the point I'm trying to make. Anyway, I go bot lane because, you know, there's nothing more for me to get. Baron isn't up, Dragon isn't up. I obviously was dead while the fight was going on, so I was like, alright, I'll push the bot lane and then group with my team. And then, you know, try to get a team fight. If we get a 5v5 team fight, then this game probably will be a free win. Let's actually talk about items as well. I haven't talked about items so far. So the build, well, I have a little bit, but not in a recent. Abyssal, obviously Rush, Morellonomicon, Sork Boots, and now the Zhonya's. The Zhonya's is there because I kind of am seeing myself as the sacrificial pig this game. You know, my Kindred's really fed, my Corki does damage. I don't mind ulting my way through the whole team to distract them, maybe get a good charm off. But then I'd love to survive, so that's what the Zhonya's is for. Doing the distraction, but then having the Zhonya's with a potential chance to survive. Probably still not going to work very well, but you never know. Anyway... other builds also. Maokai obviously rushed the Iceborne, then got the Merc Tread, Spirit Visage into the Randuins. Very tanky build. Kindred, her build was questionable. She went to Devourer, which is completely fine. She then rushed to Runen really early on while there's a little engage going on over here. But Runen on Kindred early on, I don't know why, but she did. Sterix Gage and Amora Malmortius with Swifties. Pretty tanky build for a Kindred, but I think that's actually a kind of smart thing to do so they can't completely just outright burst her. The Corki build, standard Corki build, Triforce, Essence Reaver, probably looking for a Skimmertar with the QSS item now. But yeah, this is a standard item build. Now, we were going to rotate for the Nasus, but then we realised Baron is coming up. We can't commit for Baron, all of us bot lane, because it would probably take still quite a while to kill them. Now, unfortunately, Corki, he does have package, so he's not going to be that far away, but he does go down to the bot lane, which does give the enemy team maybe a percentage or a thought process to do the Baron, but they decide against it. Nasus is continuing to run bot lane. Now, this is standard Nasus play. Again, why I'm not a massive fan of the champion is, sure, they have teleport. You know, every top lane is taking teleport nowadays. Teleport isn't the same as being there with your team. Our Maokai is with us. He can engage on them anytime he wants. He can be with us from the start of the fight. Teleporting in is not as effective. By the time you teleport in, most of the time the fight is over. Now, questionable play by the Maokai coming out. So he can see both the carries are here. Bard is here, Kindred is here. He's engaging practically by himself right now, walking into the enemy jungle. Honestly, a bad engage. So we've decided just to run out. Bard ult manages to get me. And we're going to try our best to continue going for a fight and manage to get a kill onto the Amumu. But we're completely split. Again, let's point this out. Here's our Bard. Or Brom, sorry, his name is Bard. We are 3. Maokai did a poor engage. We're all going to die. It's pretty obvious at this point. Bard's here. Our protector, our saviour. That's not great positioning. You know, I will put the blame on this team fight on the Maokai. He engaged at a terrible time, walking into the enemy jungle for no apparent reason. When, you know, our carries are here, Kindred's here, Bard's here. We're way too split for an engage to be good. But he went in anyway. So it is overall Maokai's fault. I do Zhonya's just to delay my death a little bit. I was trying to ult to get away, but it was never going to work. But yeah, Bard. No idea what he did this team fight. Just very bad positioning, both by the Maokai and secondly the Bard. You know, even at this stage of the game, him being over here by himself is questionable. Why isn't he here with our carries? So yeah, not great. They are going to push the tower. Fortunately for us, they don't have minions with them right now. They are over here. So they do have to tank the turret, which is most likely going to delay what they can get. They are going to continue, though. We are up in about 20 seconds, so they'll probably get this turret, maybe the inhibitor. But yeah, not great situation, that fight, honestly. And again, this is why I want to upload this game. This shows us actually playing from behind now in the remaining stages of the game. We're down 4,000 gold. We're down a turret. We're down 2 dragons. We're down an inhibitor. Not great. But what we can do is rely on our team comp. Our team comp, our premise of our team comp is group, have the Braum and the Maokai protect us, and do damage with Kindred, Ahri, and Corki. That's the team comp. Group is essential. That's why it just fell flat when we didn't exactly have a grouped team fight. The enemy team's team comp is actually pretty good at picking. They're not bad at team fighting at all, but they're actually good at picking. They've got Wither or Nasus. They've got LeBlanc with the chains. Lucian does overextend a little bit on that engage, goes to the ultimate, does quite a bit of damage to our Maokai. Remember who's our tank. Corki is returning to the mid lane. I'm now coming up, like hiding basically, looking for a little bit of a charm. And we might just look for an engage. So we managed to get the slow onto the Amumu. Now the Amumu is actually a pretty important target to get. So we managed to get the kill, or near to get the kill. He is going to go down any second. Boom, he's dead. Amumu manages actually to get ultimate before he dies, which is actually good by him. Continuing to go for the Nasus or potentially the Bard. I flash, get the charm on the Bard, just take care of the kill. Managed to get the kill for myself. And I think we're going to rotate over for the Baron. Now again, one point I want to make, and the difference between a replay analysis series, I'm not really focusing on myself that much. This is more just looking at the gameplay that I just so happen to be a part of. The LeBlanc does something very clever right here. So they know we're going Baron, obviously. She decides, their supers in mid lane, she decides push the mid lane while they're doing Baron. Nasus is trying to get in here. Now I remember I actually did a pretty good play here. So I managed to survive, dodge the Lucian stuff, and I managed to walk back into the immunity, get the little bit of a heal, kill the Nasus with my team, and hey presto, that was a pretty good play. While this is going on, LeBlanc has decided, very smart as well by the way, push mid tower with the super minions, go for base towers. She manages to get one. So now the game is in its closing stages. You know, the kills are really close. The gold swing is now in my team's favour. But we are still down quite a bit. We are still very vulnerable to getting this game, you know, lost. In my head, I'm thinking Nasus has got teleport. You know, yes, he's 2-9, but it's still a Nasus. He will chunk towers like crazy. If there's a ward somewhere in this base, that will probably be 1 or 2 Qs, and then he'll be on the Nexus. So we've got to be careful of the backdoor. Usually backdoors do backfire, no pun intended, but sometimes you kind of like, okay, the backdoor could come, but could he actually do something about it? At this stage of the game, I'm thinking that could happen, but it's probably unrealistic. And the thing to counter a backdoor, the biggest thing to counter a backdoor, is be in the enemy team's base. Group all together and push as much as you can, because then if the team fight goes sour, then at the end of the day, there'll only be one person backdooring here against potentially 5 people who have just won a team fight in the enemy base. That's the best situation you can be in. Anyway, we probably want to group. Waiting for the Corki. Kindred is also going back to buy. I'm now, I think, going to go back to buy for my final time, which I believe, gold-wise, I'm going to go for the Riley. I go for the Riley Crystal Scepter. This Ahri build is a little bit, uncontroversial. It's not normal. That's what I'm trying to say. I can't think of the word. I'm going for a bit of a tankier build at the late game. I'm not going to do crazy amounts of damage. I just want to survive. I want to survive the LeBlanc burst. I want to survive the Lucian damage. And if I do that and manage to get slows on the enemy team, maybe we'll win the team fight. Anyway, with Baron, we're managing to push up. LeBlanc is looking for a flank on the side, probably to get a pick on me or the Corki. But again, we're building actually fairly tanky. We're not letting the LeBlanc have her advantage with her champion. Team fight most likely is going to come out pretty soon. Also, I need to take a drink because my voice is really dry. There we go. LeBlanc is looking for a pick, and I have no idea why she did that. that potentially threw the game. She looked for a pick on nobody. You know, she didn't, I don't think, get any vision, and she jumped basically on a Maokai. Free kill for us, bad play by LeBlanc, and that LeBlanc is 10-5-6. Now, the reason I think that LeBlanc did that play, I think she felt forced to do something. She probably felt that she couldn't really get a pick on anybody. You know, I've gone tanky, Corki's got Scimitar, got magic resist, and she's not going to burst a Kindred. So she probably was getting a little bit frustrated in the fact that, I don't know what I can do, I need to do something. And she went for that play, and it completely backfired. Now we've decided to go to the bot lane tower because it's a lot easier tower to actually get. Bardell comes down, manages to get our Corki. I get a charm on the bar, do a little bit of damage to him. And the team fight is just going a little bit in and out. No team is actually fully committing to the fight right now. I get a charm onto the Lucian. He uses his QSS. Now, one thing he does here, big mistake. He ease into us, goes down instantly. The team fight is going down. And Moomuel doesn't really do anything at this point in the game. Nasus is very much behind. Hey presto, that is probably going to be the game. Now, the big thing I want to make, the point I want to make, you know, I have picked on the Amumu pick quite a lot this game. And I know that. The point that I want to make is if that was any other jungler that has a score of 6-6, 21 assists, the game would probably have been won for the enemy team. It's the fact that he falls off in the late game, not very useful champion. We turn the team fight by a couple of mistakes by the enemy team, and we win the game. Pretty good overall game in total. I think it was a good gameplay to, like I do, a bit of analysis on going into the decision making and why are people doing things. Up and down game. Wasn't a perfect game by anybody's means. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Throw a like on it if you did like it. And subscribe if you haven't. We just hit 60,000 subscribers on me recording this. So thank you very much, everybody. And I'll see you guys next time. See ya.